recording. All right. Okay, so now we're going to get into the meat of our training, guys. And again, just because I'm recording it does not mean our conversation has to stop. I just wanted to get introductions out of the way, and now that way everybody who does listen to the call, because I will send it out to the schools that we're not able to be on. Okay. I think there it goes. All right. So Special Olympics as a whole, the mission of Special Olympics is to provide year-round sports training and athletic competition in a variety of Olympic-type sports for children and adults with intellectual disabilities, giving them continuing opportunities to develop physical fitness, demonstrate courage, experience joy, and participate in sharing of gifts, skills, and friendship with their families and other Special Olympics athletes in the community. So that is what Special Olympics is all about. That is what our mission is, and that is what it will always be. Okay, so that is why Special Olympics originally started. We got started, and then we transitioned for Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools, and had this movement for our school programming. And that mission is to promote social inclusion by bringing together students with and without intellectual disabilities through sports and other activities. And students who play unified become better at helping others, standing up for each other, and sharing responsibilities. So we took the mission of Special Olympics and really brought inclusion into that. And it really made for a better environment in the schools. And for those schools that have promoted inclusion and promoted Unified Champion schools can really tell by the climate in their schools. And Rhonda, you're our veteran on the call, and I think you've got a couple of your people on the call also, but I think you can attest to the climate of your school has changed since you've become a unified school overall through the years because of being a Unified Champion school. And it's not just Rhonda's school. The other schools that have had this for several years can also attest, and I hear it over and over and over. I have a video that I'm going to show in a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about later, of another unified school and an example of how their climate has also changed due to being a unified school. Being a Unified Champion school, there are three components that really make up a Unified Champion school. You do have your unified sports or inclusive sports, and that is people with and without intellectual disabilities coming together and playing on the same team for the same goal, which is a win. And that's it. That is your inclusive sports. That can be in a competitive nature at a competition that we host, or that can be recreational in a unified PE classroom on campus, and you don't ever go off campus to a competition. But that is some sort of inclusive sport opportunity for your students. Then you have your youth leadership and advocacy component as well. We want to provide a youth leadership component for your students with and without intellectual disabilities as well on campus. We want to provide those opportunities, whether it's in a club on campus, providing ways for those students to learn to advocate for themselves, whatever that looks like. Some start a club or an organization and an entity of itself, or some take whatever clubs they have, and whether it be a student council, a beta club, or whatever, and they make them inclusive. And we'll talk more about it and get more in depth in a minute. And then we have the third component, which is your whole school engagement. And that whole school engagement is where everybody on campus knows you are a unified champion school, and you celebrate that fact. Whether it's a spread the word inclusion campaign, whether it's a respect week, kind of like a spirit week, whether it's you are fans in the stands at one of your competitions and you are out supporting your program. You line the hallways before, or line the line up outside while the bus is leaving for a unified competition. Whatever that whole school engagement activity is, the whole entire school is celebrating the fact that you are a unified champion school. Any questions about that? All right. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into our inclusive sports piece and component. And again, you guys stop me if you have more to add. Open up. I don't mind. I don't like hearing myself talk the whole time. Inclusive sports, every student should have the chance to share in the joy of sport, interact with other students, and be part of their school through sport. We all know that you have your varsity team. We all know that going through middle school and high school, you have your sports students. But we want those opportunities for everyone. And yes, we have Special Olympics traditional sports, but really providing those unified sports is a whole new level of inclusion, and it really brings unification to the school in a whole different way that's really hard to explain unless you really experience it. We just got through with our unified basketball tournament for our high schools, that if they won first place, they get to go to the AAA finals, and the excitement around those tournaments is just, I can't explain it. And the schools get really involved. And so I just, unified sports is just a whole nother beast. On the court, they're teammates, and off the court, they truly are friends. I know I have one school that they play on the unified team together, a partner and an athlete. So a partner is a person without an intellectual disability, and an athlete is a student on the team that has an intellectual disability. They play on the unified basketball team together, but after school, they go to the park and they play every single day basketball together. So it truly is, on the court, they're teammates, and off the court, they truly are friends. They call each other, they talk to each other. It truly is a pure friendship. A fully inclusive sport or fitness program that combines approximately equal number of students with and without an intellectual disability, such as Special Olympics unified sports, interscholastic unified sports, a unified PE classroom, or unified intramurals. That is what inclusive sports is going to look like. So if you have an adaptive PE class on your campus currently, I encourage you to take the next step and make it a unified PE classroom. What we saw in the past is we had schools say, when we did professional development trainings with our PE coaches in the summer, they were like, well, we have a PE class for our special ed students, but they have their PE class over here on this side of the gym, and our regular ed students are on this side of the gym. And we're like, no, we want it unified. We want it inclusive. We want everybody practicing and learning sports together. We don't want one side to be our special ed students and one side to be our regular ed students. And I will say, we had a lot of real conversations with our PE coaches on how do we do that? How do we make that happen? How do we bring inclusion when there's such a difference in ability level for our athletes with a disability versus their peers, those partners that may not have a disability. And there is a way. We have a resource. It's not quite a full curriculum, but there is a resource for our unified PE classroom. And in that resource, it has leadership lessons. So it goes back to that youth leadership piece. They can write some reflection stories. And with those reflection stories, we like to hear some of the feedback of some of the really good ones. And then there's some lesson plans on how to break down, because your middle school and high school coaches, PE coaches, they're probably not used to really breaking down a basketball lesson on a real basic level for some of those students that might need that basketball lesson broken down on, okay, this is how you teach a passing lesson on a very basic level. So that's what our resource will help provide. And we also provide those professional development trainings for those PE coaches. We've done it through the educational co-ops, but also we can do it through the schools as well. Inclusive sports, we launched it in the late 1980s. It is an inclusive sports program. Again, we really try to achieve that equal number of people with and without an intellectual disability on a team or in a group. A student relationship created through sports enhances an inclusive school climate. And then we really encourage athlete leaders as deliberate catalysts to transform schools and communities. We really want to teach not just the partners in the groups to learn to advocate, but we really want to teach those athletes to advocate for themselves as well. And I will say, Rhonda's daughter, Emily, is part of our YAC, and I have seen her completely blossom. She's one of our athletes on YAC, and she has completely blossomed through the last couple of years on learning to speak up for herself and learning to advocate for herself. And I've been really proud of her over the last few years, learning to advocate. So on the inclusive sports piece, you've got your unified player development, and it's similar to traditional unified sports. The teammates of higher ability serve as mentors to assist the teammates of lower abilities in a developmental sport specific and tactics in a successfully participating, less structured, cooperative team environment. And that's what the unified player development component looks like. You have your unified recreation. It extends the concept of unified sports to a non-competitive realm, offering inclusive recreational sports opportunities for students with and without intellectual disabilities. Examples of unified recreation in schools include activities such as unified PE, a unified field day, a unified walking club, our unified fitness programming, and things like that. Some of your schools might have received our unified fitness kits last year that we handed out, and those types of things would be in our unified recreation component. And then we have our unified competitive model, and that brings students together with and without intellectual disability of similar athletic abilities to train and compete on the same team. School-based teams in this model often compete within our interscholastic athletic league and intramural settings or throughout community-based Special Olympics tournaments. Now, we also allow our unified player development to participate in our interscholastic league as well. We just divide it up into two different divisions. So we have like a Division A and a Division B, and both are okay. Any questions about that? All three fulfill that inclusive sports component of being a unified school. In all three of these components, athletes and partners participate together as teammates. While all three models have social inclusion as the core outcome, the structure and format of each model varies. Regardless of the model, unified sports teams should never comprise solely of people with disabilities. Unified sports competitive model combines approximately equal number of athletes and partners as teammates. Athletes and partners should be of similar age and ability. No modification of rules shall be applied. On the unified sports player development model, combine approximately equal number of athletes and partners as teammates. Teammates are not required to be of similar ability. Players of higher ability will assist teammates of lower ability in developing sports-specific rules. Rule modifications should ensure that meaningful involvement of all teammates. I think I went to the next slide, sorry. And then the unified sports recreational model is an inclusive recreation sports event for all athletes and partners. Unified sports recreation events are not required to meet the minimum training, competition, and team composition as a required form. The other two models of unified sports. The recreation model may be comprised of a walking club, unified fitness club, or any other recreation event such as a kickball game, etc. Any questions? What do your schools currently have going in them right now as far as these components? And some schools might have multiple of these three. So you might have like the player development and a recreational. And if you don't want to unmute, you can also type it in the chat.
I guess we at Lake Hamilton, we have the competitive and some of the recreation. I don't know if any of you caught our student who was on the basketball team from Lake Hamilton. It was on World News last week. That's almost a for the camera kind of thing. And I hate to say it's not really inclusion, but it's a start, and it really lets people know that students with disabilities do need to be included. So I hope it starts the conversation for that kind of thing. It's not true inclusion, but it's a fake kind of inclusion. But it's a start, and it gets people thinking about things like that.
Right. Now, do y'all have a unified PE class there?
It's called that in name. It's actually not that in practice at this point.
Okay.
So I said, go ahead. Oh, I said, baby, we're competitive, but I think we're moving to try to do like an inclusion unified PE class, but we're also trying to get it to where the kids can. My goal is in a couple of years to be able to get it where kids can get a credit, where it's like it's going to be a class for the high school kids, and then start developing it that way. Because again, how we had to stop doing it, we have to get it restarted again, and so like that's where we're a little bit behind in doing that, but to get where we want to be.
Okay.
Okay, so what I was going to ask, so our PE classes, it's not like we're not using the Special Olympics resource for the unified PE, but our coaches do a really good job of inclusion. Like all of our kids do the same thing to their ability. So do they have to use that resource to be considered? Does it have to be titled that?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Then I guess we do.
Yeah. No. Some schools just have that in general. And it's not, it doesn't have that title. As long as y'all are meeting the practices and the coaches don't need that resource. Some coaches need that resource. Some coaches, now I will say there are some things in that resource, Rhonda, that I think are good that you might want to say. Here are some things that I would recommend. I think the reflection of for the students of what, and I'll pull it up here in just a little bit, of what it means to them to be in that class and what they've learned in that class. I think that is a good practice, because it is so meaningful. I also think the leadership component of being in that class is impactful, but no, it is not a requirement. I think if your school already has it going, then y'all are good to go.
Yeah. Our coaches do a really good job, of including our students and, encouraging them to do the same thing as the rest of the class to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
So yeah, I I am still trying to get that, and I think, you know me, I think I'm just going to go put that resource in the coach's hand and say, here, read this. And then I'll ask forgiveness later.
What is the ratio?
So yeah, that would be the thing, because they just go, there are quite a few more.
Do they just go in their period? They're just kind of broken up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we really need to make it more of a 50-50.
Intentional.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and I think that's a lot of schools are like that. They are just putting them in a rotation, instead of intentionally putting a 50-50 ratio in.
So we need
and
intentional.
I have found that in a lot of the schools that they are like, well, they have just kind of gotten their schedules, and that's just kind of how the chips have fallen. So.
Okay.
All right, let's see. We're going to talk about the unified PE. All right, unified PE. It's a unique opportunity for students varying ability levels. Each school district is encouraged to work with their state Special Olympics staff to determine how unified PE could be a part of their PE curriculum. Concepts from these resources can be incorporated into an existing course curriculum or used to develop a new course. The course is typically taught by a certified PE teacher. This course combines students of all abilities to participate in developmentally appropriate activities, including lifelong activities, physical fitness, and sport. Students will work together to increase competence and confidence in a variety of physical activities. Through ongoing leadership opportunities, members of this course will be empowered to help create more inclusive and accepting school environment for all students. So it breaks it down into SHAPE national standards, and it kind of falls in line with those. which is what this breaks down. So this first one is SHAPE National Standard 1 and 3. SHAPE National Standard 4 is the second one. And I have all of that broken down in a graph. And then I can get all of that information to you. But it like I have all of the rubric for how it breaks down and fulfills all of the components for the schools. I mean, when you guys, and Stacy, you might be able to answer this, maybe. But in a PE class, do y'all have to fulfill the SHAPE national standards still? Do you know? Okay. Okay. I can't remember if it's the SHAPE national standards that everybody is fulfilling still, and I can look into that further. But we try to fulfill whatever standards that whatever standards the PE class has to fulfill, we align with that. Because we are funded by the Department of Ed, we make sure we are aligning with all of the same standards. So examples of a unified PE course structure, a new PE course structure, or you can integrate into an established PE curriculum. Example is a Spark PE or a district physical education program. Or you can transform an existing PE course. Regardless of the structure, the course should be offered like any other class in the school. It should be included in the registration guide with all other courses students can choose to take for graduation credits. And we have the stuff to kind of help guide that too. Any questions about that? All right. All right, middle school specifically, for that inclusive sport piece, we have the middle school or unified PE, and then you can competitively or compete, player development, or just the recreational play. Those are the ways you can fulfill that component through unified or inclusive sports. Whoops, I went to. Same with high school. You got your unified PE, competitive, player development, or recreational sports. And then that is not the right slide, sorry. Any questions about inclusive sports, how it can fit in your school, or any feedback about what you have in your school currently? No. Yes, ma'am.
So, at our school for whole school activities, we do a staff versus students basketball game every year.
Yes.
Classic.
Yes.
So it's pretty much it's basically students with and without intellectual disabilities against the staff team. And it's like our biggest, best event of the year. We have in high school, we have unified reps, a unified rep pair, a student with and without intellectual disabilities on our student council.
Mhm.
What else do we do? Spread the word. And I think, and then, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all we do. Maybe. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know what we do.
Your hoops classic is fantastic. And
Mm-hmm.
when do y'all do that?
This year it is scheduled for May. May 10th.
May 10th.
Yes. Y'all
Yeah.
come out and watch. It's a good time.
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is fantastic. And you really make sure everyone is meaningfully engaged, which is
Yeah. We have anyone that wants to be a cheerleader can cheer. We have uniforms that we dig out and or they can create their own. Then we have players equally playing. It's just a good time all around.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think this slide was supposed to be in here now that I'm looking at it. The fans in the stands is another piece for the inclusive sports. So having fans go out and supporting your unified games. Unified PE class can host a unified sports festival or a unified experience. And then unified sports team provides demonstrations during halftime of the varsity sports, or doing a hoops classic like Rhonda's school does. And then pep rallies before your unified games, doing something like that to send off your unified teams. Supporting your unified teams in the same way that you support your varsity teams or anything like that. Just making sure that they get the same recognition. We have one school in the Hot Springs area that she had messaged me a couple weeks ago, and their senior that won a state championship, they're wanting that student to be recognized the same way a varsity senior was recognized. That's important to that school district. So letter jackets for the students. That's something that Bologna does with the Special Olympics patch. Any way that the school can embrace the unified programming or the Special Olympics programming, that those are all very important ideas. Okay, now we're going to go into our inclusive youth leadership. There it goes. I was like, I don't know where it went. Inclusive youth leadership are students with and without an intellectual disability working together to lead and plan advocacy, awareness, and Special Olympics related inclusive activities throughout the school year. In the schools, this can be a unified club or youth activation committee or an inclusive existing club. Example is a student council. A unified club is a non-academic school-based club that brings students with and without intellectual disabilities together for planning, participating in Special Olympics activities, including unified sports, social, and community activities that foster understanding, acceptance, and promote leadership and collaborate skill building. It can be a new club called a unified club, or it can be built into an existing club, such as such as an inclusive student council. A YAC, or a youth activation committee, is a group of youth comprised of members with and without intellectual disabilities. This group works together throughout the year to educate, motivate, and activate youth to become agents of change in their communities and advocate for the respect, inclusion, and acceptance of all people regardless of their abilities. All right. A unified club is a club that teams students with and without intellectual disabilities through sports, training, and competition, and or social and recreational opportunities. A unified club often are formed when there is no existing club or group in a school where young people with and without intellectual disabilities can compete, build friendships, or work on projects together. This section focuses on steps to form a unified club and the ways of which a club can activate its members. The benefits of building a new club: it creates a new structure at the school that allows more freedom than the current school model. It puts emphasis on the friendship aspect of unified champion schools and creates a tight bond between the students with and without intellectual disability. And it's valuable in a school with limited options for engagement. A lot of the unified clubs, they are formed just like any other club on campus. They get involved in school activities. They do floats at homecoming. They do all the other things that clubs do on campus. But everything has an inclusion mindset. So at homecoming or at Christmas parades or whatever it may be, they engage in an inclusive way. They get all of their members and they engage them that way. We have a whole red ball campaign for Special Olympics, and you'll see it throughout this presentation. And it's all about inclusion focus. That is how they might engage in all the floats and all of the, or they'll do a respect campaign or a respect week, or they'll do a disability focused week, and they might have different ways that they might bring attention to the rest of the student body on what it's like to have that disability. So they might set up a wheelchair and a obstacle course of what it's like at their school to have to maneuver in a wheelchair for someone that might be bound to a wheelchair. Or they might get some headphones that they might not be able to hear very well and might let somebody experience what it might feel like to have hearing impairment or a visual impairment or something like that to represent a disability awareness week. Or set up some texture boards for autism awareness. I've heard all kinds of different things that schools have done. These are the type of things, though, that the unified club would support. The big thing that I have seen that make a unified club successful is when the liaison or the club mentor, or help me out, Rhonda, what's the person in charge of the club? Sponsor, thank you. When the club sponsor is literally there to make sure and manage but does not make the decisions. It is all youth led. We really want to encourage and activate these students to be leaders and agents of change. And we really want them to come up with these ideas and help foster and guide them and not do all the work for them. That is when we're going to see the best growth, is when we help guide them. So when you have a sponsor that can help do that, that's when you see the best in this club. That's when I see the best success in these clubs. Any questions about that? Adrian, that one was out of a school, I think Lakeside did that. She said, I like the wheelchair idea. I think Lakeside did that once in their Disability Awareness Week, and I really like that too. All right. Inclusive youth leadership, being fans in the stands, making signs and posters. We have a skit called It's Our School Too, where the students can do, it's a play written for a cast of 10 to 20 young people, including youth with and without intellectual disabilities, and the play can be performed on a blank stage just using chairs, or you can create an elaborate set, but it just talks about what it's like to be in a school that's not inclusive and just kind of gives different scenarios. That can be eye-opening, and that's something that the school can, or the Unified Club can also do. It's a bunch of mini series or mini plays, so they're very short-lived, but they are eye-opening. So that's something that they can do during the Respect Week, if that's something that the Unified Club chooses to do. We do have an inclusive youth leadership guide. It is all online. Every resource that I am going to talk about today or have already talked about is on our website, and it's free. So, and I also have a lot of tangible printed out copies of everything, if that is something that you're interested in getting. Yeah, videos of the inclusive play. I might have some videos. Yes, I do have videos of the inclusive play. I will get there in just a little bit. So then it talks about the Unified Club activities going beyond the school and taking the friendship outside the school walls. I talked a little bit about the friendship off on the court, or teammates on the court, friendship off the court. And I talked about the student pair that plays basketball when they get home from school every day at the park. That is just one story. I know there are a ton more stories like that out there. I know Valonia has a ton in itself, that they are friends outside of the classroom and outside of the school. That is just the nature of a unified school. That is what happens in a unified school. Social media makes that very possible also. Connecting through social media. But then they get to go and hang out. They're getting invited to the birthday parties. They are getting invited to go and hang out socially. And that's something that we were not seeing before. So this is a picture of the Spread the Word inclusion campaign. It was Spread the Word to End the Word. They have since transitioned to Spread the Word inclusion. In many schools, clubs have already existed to focus on leadership, community service, improving the school environment. For these schools, and existing clubs can develop into an inclusive club by including youth with and without intellectual disabilities. So say you have a student council and you want to include students with a disability into that student council and fold them in and make that your inclusive youth leadership committee. That is perfectly fine and acceptable as well. And we just encourage that that's not where it stops. You also continue on with promoting inclusion in the school and focusing on inclusion with whatever you're doing. If your school has a Instagram page or a Twitter page or whatever, we do have several schools out there that have taken their school's club or program to social media. One, let me know that it's out there. I can pull stories from that. But also continue to promote them on social media. And then the other side is know how to tag what's coming up. And like you've got your awareness months, you've got Spread the Word inclusion, you've got your bullying prevention month. I don't recommend that you guys are the ones that run these pages. I recommend it's student led, student promoted, and student driven. I know I said that earlier, but I truly do believe that the youth are the ones that need to be the head and running this. I do think that you guys need to keep an eye on it, but I do think that the students need to be the ones to kind of run the pages. I was talking to one of our YAC that is kind of aging out now, and she even still checks on her high school page to this day, and she got upset that they changed the password on her, and she graduated like 4 years ago, but she still keeps an eye on that page because she feels invested, and that she was the president of her club at that point, and but that she invested in that, and that is her school, and that's what it's all about. So for the YAC, groups of youth with and without intellectual disabilities from a school community that work with local or state Special Olympics program to develop strategies, organize events, and build school community where all young people are agents of change. They promote leadership in schools by advocating for Special Olympics and the acceptance of all students. The Youth Activation Committee can exist on a national, state, local, community, and school level. This section will provide an insight on how to start a local or community YAC and the events and activities a YAC can create. So in a school, a YAC is usually a smaller group of people. When I talked about it with the elementary group, it's really a targeted group of youth leaders. For middle school and high school, I agree still that it needs to be a smaller targeted group of youth leaders. You have your club, which is over 15 in my brain. A YAC, I think we're talking like 8 and under. If you've got more than that, we need to focus on it being a club. I think a yak is going to be a smaller group. The formation on and activation, how they're built, you need advisors selected, advisors are trained, recruiting the kids, how youth are activated, annual summits, ongoing educational and youth leadership opportunities, and then a yak leadership academy. We need to train them. It's a little more targeted. But I really think it's a focal group of who that yak leadership team is and what they're going to do. There is no cost associated with it, no ma'am. We have a state yak, and I'll talk about that in just a second. We really focus on some more leadership goals. We do a leadership training. They host a lot of our leadership summits, and things like that. COVID has kind of stopped a lot of that. I'm hoping this next year we're going to really build it back up. If you have any students that would like to be on that state yak, I highly encourage them to be a part of it. Let's see. That was our youth leadership toolkit. Students at Mary Middle School took the lead in helping their peers learn about what it means to be an inclusive school. Through a new school club, students implemented a variety of activities aimed at raising awareness of equality and respect. The effort began with a group of general education students started sitting with students with disabilities at lunch. Together, they decided to start a unified club where students with and without intellectual disabilities met once a week to eat lunch, play outdoor games, practice sports, and engage in a variety of different activities. Examples are arts and crafts, cooking and table games. The need for this effort was identified and led by youth as a way of engaging all students in a shared experience. The success of these efforts led to an agreement to conduct a unified sports program through the entire district. And that is just how this one school got started. And this is some examples of inclusive youth leadership. The National Honor Society, which includes students with and without intellectual disabilities, hosts a series of assemblies once a month to increase awareness of social inclusion and foster respect among all students. The Junior Prom Committee seeks nominations for diverse students to be on the prom court and engage students with and without intellectual disabilities in planning and decorating for the prom. The Unified Club works with the school's leadership committee to incorporate social inclusion as part of the school-wide expectations for the student's behavior. We have several schools of our unified schools that do have them for the prom court seek a nomination specifically for a student with a disability. That was something, that was a trend that was started by one of our unified schools, and it kind of hit like wildfire throughout central Arkansas. A lot of our schools really started that. So that was something that was kind of a cool trend to see. And that was all started by unified clubs. So our state youth activation committee, I told you that I would mention this. I head up our state youth activation committee. We have on average 20 to 25 students, ranging from 15 to 24 on our committee in age. They help with all state competitions. They help plan, they help execute, they help run the background on all of our competition. They learn how to set up, break down, run our games management system programming. They learn how to do all of the key volunteer roles. I rotate them through all of it. They sit on all of our local management teams for our area. So they learn those roles. They learn how to work as a key volunteer, meaning they learn how they have to interact with our volunteers. You can ask Rhonda, I'm very hard on them. I have very high expectations for those state YAC members. They help with our youth summits. And when I say help with it, they run it. They come up with the key ideas of what we're going to cover. They help do the presentations. They do the presentations. They help with our camp driver. And when I say help with it, they do it. They kind of have to run it. I'm there again as a sponsor. I help form it and I help guide them. I really give them a lot of leeway and I work their tails off, but it's good work. And it's good for them and it helps them with a lot of growth. They learn how to run social media campaigns. We turn over a lot of our social media to them during summer games. They are photographers. They learn a lot, and I'm proud of them. They do learn a lot, but I will say that a lot of them are starting to age out of our program, and we are ready for a new class of YACs. So if you have any that think that they might be interested in being a part of our state youth activation committee, they do have a good time also. They learn a lot of respect and they learn a lot of key roles in our program. But they do work hard and it's a lot of fun. I would love to have them and please send them my way with and without intellectual disabilities. It is a lot of fun though. That was a sales pitch and probably not a very good one. I do work them hard. All right. Before we go into whole school engagement, we've been on this call for about an hour and 15 minutes. Does anyone need a break for a second? Get up, stretch your legs. Yep. All right, let's take about a 5-minute break. And I will see you guys back at 10:20. Okay. Are we all back? I think we lost a couple people, but I think we're good. Hey. All right, let's move on to whole school engagement. Hey. Let me get my screen fixed back. Look. Well. Okay. Perfect. All right. Whole school engagement. We ready? Let's get to it. Maybe. There it goes. All right. Whole school engagement. Awareness and education activities that promote inclusion and reach the majority of the school population. Uh-oh. Gotta admit somebody. Can y'all hear that when it does that? Or is it just me? Okay. Sorry, lost my place. Awareness and education activities that promote inclusion and reach the majority of the school population and students in the school have opportunities to participate through sustained school-wide activities. So let's talk about the types of engagement. You can do pep rallies or fans in the stands for unified sports teams. You can do spread the word in the word or respect campaigns. You can do awareness assemblies. We've talked about a lot of these. Your Hoops Classic is a whole school engagement activity because a lot of your school comes out for it. Went too far. Nope, I did not. One more. Doing a program for a event that you're hosting and promoting that you have a unified school there, that reaches everybody in the school or most people in the school. Hanging posters. If you have a bulletin board in your school that you're a unified champion school, or you're putting up that anything there, the social media stuff, and you have a ton of followers on it, like 75% of your school follows it, that is a whole school engagement activity right there. If you have student news and you're talking about the fact that you're a unified school in one way or another, whether it's promoting your unified sports team, if you're promoting that it's spread the word inclusion, the spread the word week, you can do, I don't know how you guys do your student news, but if you have like a newscast and you have a unified pair doing the news for your school, and you kind of set them up as newscasts and kind of have them play off of each other that week, that is a whole school engagement activity that the school is being exposed to inclusion and acceptance. These are just examples. If you guys have any other examples, I'm open to hear them. Spread the word campaign. This is one thing that all of our schools, I encourage and semi-expect you guys to do, because we pay for all of the items for the campaign. This is our shirt this year. We kind of spin off and do our own design every year. Number one, it's just I'll give you the background. They give us our items for Spread the Word pretty late in the game. So to order off of the store that they provide, we can't ever get the items in on time. But for you guys to have them all by the day of the national campaign, which is the first Wednesday of March. I think it's March 2nd this year. So we here in Arkansas decided to come up with our own like saying, and that is air is 100% essential, and you need acceptance, inclusion, and respect. And that is kind of our tagline for our Spread the Word campaign. So every year we do a little bit of a different graphic, but it all revolves around needing air being 100% essential. So this is this year's design. It'll be on a gray shirt. And we, I think, got them in on Thursday, and we're fixing to start shipments tomorrow. So if you put your order in, you should be getting them soon. If you have not, you need to go ahead and do that for me. But this is a Spread the Word campaign. These are some old posters, but some people in their schools do a door decorating contest. In the halls, that's another way to really promote inclusion. Some people do a assembly and have guest speakers come, or somebody from the community, and talk about promoting inclusion that way. So then we've got youth summits. Youth summits we typically do in conjunction with our Camp Shriver. We are going to try to do it a little different this next year, just because we've not been able to do Camp Shriver the last year or two. And I think there's got to be an opportunity for us to do it a little different. So we're going to try to do a youth summit. We might do one by the end of this year. If not, we might do one early August, but I'm thinking I might get one done by the end of this year. A youth summit is an environment that gathers agents of change of all abilities so that each can learn and share with one another. In this environment, it is imperative we promote a climate that is supportive, creative, and it supports curiosity as a mean to maximize our time together. Youth leaders who pose various talents and strengths will have the opportunity to gain valuable experience, insight, and perspective through interactive workshops, discussion, team reflections, and hands-on experience. It promotes climate that supports creativity and curiosity. So we really want to provide that for our students. Oh, so was I. And I really want to have something for our students to be able to learn those leadership skills, because I do feel like it is a key piece of what we offer. And I want a way to communicate with students in a youth summit type situation. So I'm thinking that, so be on the lookout of hosting a youth summit in the next coming months. Students invite students from the local area to join YAC in a youth summit that focuses on fostering inclusion and acceptance within the community. This will allow students with and without disabilities to determine how to change the attitude and views of students and community members. The YAC can be in charge of planning, advertising, and executing the event. And then adults, again, we're mentors. We pose a wealth of knowledge, skills, and understanding that are pivotal in ensuring everyone, youth leaders of today, and yourselves have a remarkable experience. But again, we are just the mentors. We do not tell them what to do. We guide them. That is very key in all of this. Okay, so for middle school, examples of whole school engagement, we can do a pep rally in a gym around the theme of social inclusion and invite the whole school. So sorry. Thank you. Teachers assist students with coordinating a spread the word campaign to raise inclusion and sorry. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze again. Sorry. And raise consciousness of the school and community about dehumanizing and hurtful effects of the word retarded, and encourage people to pledge and stop using the R word. And then the drama club performs the play It's Our School Too for the student body or your unified club. So those are options. So sorry. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze again. So those are options for the middle school whole school engagement activities. So examples continued in a civics class, they are required to incorporate lessons on social inclusion into a unit on social justice to ensure all students increase their knowledge and skills. The student council coordinates a spread the word campaign to raise the consciousness of the school, or the art department can hold poster contests, inviting students to design posters for the school halls, advocating for social inclusion and creating a welcoming school climate. Again, these are just ideas. Does anyone have any other ideas? Y'all are real quiet. All right, I'm going to talk about Get Into It, and I actually am going to pull up this website. Let me. Let's see if I can hold it up. Can y'all see that website, or do you still see the PowerPoint? Okay, let's do. All right, now I think you should see it. All right, so this is Get Into It. And it is some web-based interactivity for students and teachers. There's also some service learning things on here. And it is all free. And you just have to log in or create a login. It is broken down K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 12. We're going to go 9, 12 just to get there. It is broken down into 4 different lessons. Let's do okay. What does my community look like? There's an overview. The desired outcome, materials needed. Part 1, steps and suggestions. Part 2, and it breaks it all down, tells you exactly how to lay it out. And there's like a reflection piece. It's all free for you to use. The same with 6, 8. There's also a rubric. And then there's a service learning piece. And again, it's just a free resource for you guys to use. My favorite piece of it is the movies that move. And you can play little clips of a movie. And it also will have like a questionnaire on it afterwards. Well, I don't know what that was. Yes, continue. Oh my goodness, I don't want to do all that. Sorry. I have a disc on it. Movies that move, and it'll play a piece of a movie, and then it'll ask you questions after the movie. And it's just a reflection of, okay, in this part of this movie, what did we learn from that? So it's just a really cool little free resource that you can use. There's also a student piece of it that you can use, and it's got some little games. Meet the kids and hear their Special Olympic stories. How to plan an event, right words to spread. We're more alike than different, and things like that. Okay. So that is one resource. My favorite piece of that is the service learning piece. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes,
This is
ma'am.
Adrian. Are you going to send this resource to us?
Yes, I can send all of this, and it's all on our website.
Okay,
But yes, I can send all of this to you.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. That fulfills our 3 components. Now we're going to transition into our national recognition program. I am, hold on just one, oops, sorry. Hold on just 1 second for me. Okay, so if you are a unified champion school, we offer, we have the opportunity for you to become nationally recognized. And this is something that schools, administrators especially, that is something that sweetens the deal for schools administrators. They like to be the best of the best. They like to be nationally recognized. And so teachers will say, hey, this is something that I think our school needs. Yes, everything that I just went over benefits the students, and that should be plenty to say, this is why I'm taking it to our school. But then it doesn't hurt to be nationally recognized and to be able to take it to your administrator and say, also, if we do this, we could be nationally recognized. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that now. To be nationally recognized, there are 10 standards of excellence. Okay. They kind of fall in line with your components, the 3 components that we have gone over. Under the unified sports piece, you have to offer at least 2 seasons throughout the school year of a unified sport. And then unified sports participation occurs regularly over the course of each sports season or school term and includes competition. And an adult coach for each sport has to receive a training on Special Olympics unified sport. And then unified sports is officially recognized by the school in a similar style as other athletic activities. So that is saying that you participate in 2 unified sports, that your coach is certified in unified sports, which is easy to do. It's done online and virtually. And it's recognized by your school, which if that is the case, then that is something that your school is probably already doing. If you do the progression the way that we lay it out, which is we say your administrator has to be okay with what's going on, and we ask that they sign this form, then the school is probably already accepted that you're a unified school. So they're already accepting that, yes, you're doing unified sports. The kicker there is that you're going to do 2 sports throughout the school year. And that sometimes takes two years to get 2 sports under your belt. Okay. Guys, I need you to give me 1 second. I'm sorry. So sorry. Okay, I'm back. The next piece is our inclusive youth leadership. With that, you have to have a unified club on campus. They have to meet at least once a month, which is very typical for a organization that is going on your school campus. And they have to have a sponsor and officially recognized by the school. None of that is crazy. So as long as it's a group on campus, officially recognized by the school, and meeting once a month. Cool. And then your whole school engagement piece is at least 2 whole school engagement activities implemented throughout the school year. Students with and without intellectual disabilities are involved in the planning and leading the awareness activity. And if you're using your unified club, then that should be happening anyways. And you just have to have 2 of them. And if you're doing a spread the word campaign and maybe a pep rally before your unified sports event, or, I mean, there's so many whole school engagement activities you could do, then you have fulfilled that piece. And then the last standard is currently self-sustainable or is planning to be self-sustainable in the 3 components in the future. Meaning that we are not sending funds to you directly to your school. And the way we have it set up is we don't send funds directly to the school in our program. A lot of the other programs in the other states, they send a check to your school and say, here's a check for being a Unified Champion School. We don't do that. We do it a little differently, and we support our competitions, and we support our campaigns, and we support other programs and events that we do. If you need something, we can help provide that, but we choose to do it in a different way. One, it helps me have a peace of mind about what we are doing in our program. And I know that it's going directly to our events, and I know what we're doing. And 2, it helps you guys become a National Banner School a little bit easier. So this is the way we do it here in Arkansas. So that is that 10th piece of being a National Banner School. You guys have gotten taken care of. You guys are self-sustainable because you don't rely on us to send you direct funds. So the hardest part for schools to really get that national recognition is really the 2 sports competition seasons, and then the second hardest is doing 2 whole school engagement activities. But really, if you get creative enough, that's not too bad. Any questions about being nationally recognized on that? You will receive a banner that looks like this. I know it doesn't look like much, but it is big, and it looks like any kind of banner that you would hang in your gym. And it has Valonia High School Unified Champion School, National Unified Champion School, I'm sorry. And it is large. Some hang it in their gym, some hang it in their main campus building by the attendance office, or what have you. When you receive it, we encourage you make it a big to-do. That is another whole school engagement piece right there. And we encourage that you make it a celebration. That is the size of the banner right there, to kind of give you a visual. And they do make them really nice because they do want it to be something special. There is a way that you can reapply after so many years. I think it's 3 years that you can apply to be a national school again. And it is for elementaries, middle, high, and college level schools. This is what the timeline looks like. So applications are about to open up next week. March through May, schools can submit their applications. And then May 2nd through 31st, programs review the applications submitted, which is me. That means I have that amount of time to look through all applications that were submitted and say, yes, they actually did what they said they did. So if you have not communicated to me what you've done throughout the year and then submitted on this national application, and I go and read and I'm like, Rhonda says she did all this, but she has not told me any of this. I may come to you and be like, I didn't know any of this. And then I will either say yay or nay. And then at that point, applications are reviewed by the National Recognition Program Board. And then you guys will be notified August 16th through August 30th if you guys were recognized or not. At that point, your banners will come directly to my office, and then I will then set up a time where I can come and present them to your school. And again, we like it to be a big celebration if you are nationally recognized. Any questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
So ours was for 2020 through 2023. When do we reapply?
Next
Is
year,
that
I think.
next year? Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I think somebody told me that you can apply next year. Innovation grants. All right, this is an Arkansas specific thing. We did these last year. I only did them for high school last year, but we are going to open it up elementary through high school. All right. Innovation grants. We want the schools to tell us how they're being innovative. This is an application process. So you guys have to go to your students. Again, we really want this to be student driven. Approved innovation projects will be funded in the amount of $1,000 to $3,000. Applications are due by March 11th. Scheduled calls will be with me after applications are received. And then projects will be awarded by March 18th. And then if you were approved for the grant, you'll get your check by the end of March, or by the week of March 21st. And then I ask that your final project report be due May 6th. Here is the grant application, and let me pull that up. All right, can y'all see that? Okay. So the grant application, I asked for your school name, the liaison name. The liaison is the point of contact at the school that I will be contacting. Please make it an educator of some sort, not a student. Email address, phone number. The project title or idea. What are y'all doing? Just a brief name of whatever y'all are doing. Then the next piece is going to be the description of what you guys are doing and what it would entail. And what you guys are going to accomplish. And then if you have any links to include in that, go ahead and include them. And then provide any explanation of how the funds will be used. And again, if you have any links of what you need to purchase or buy, you can go ahead and include those there as well. Any questions about that?
Can you give some examples of what other schools have used that grant for?
Well, last year was our first year to do it. One school used it to say, did a donut day all across the board at the end of school and said, and made t-shirts for their entire club, and said, don't forget about us next year. Don't forget about us. And it was just like, I want to stay relevant. I want you guys to not forget about us. And it was just a way to spark inclusion and keeping fresh in everybody's brain. Let me think. Hold, please. I gotta go back to my grant stuff last year.
I have a question real quick while you're looking.
Yep.
So like, I guess I'm following up with what Rhonda said is like, so we're looking for ways to promote the program throughout the school, but like to continually keep people informed of it. Is that correct? Is that what the innovation grant is
I
saying?
am not trying to box you guys in. Okay.
No, I understand that, yes.
I want you guys to come up with an innovative way to bring inclusion and acceptance to your school. Some did inclusion festivals, field days. Some wanted to introduce cycling to their school.
So like what,
Some did
when you and I,
track and field day for their school because they didn't get to have it last year because of COVID. So they did an on-site track and field day. And they had their whole school support it. Go ahead, Anthony.
so like you were saying, like me and you had talked last week. I can't remember if it was Springdale or where we were when we were talking about it, but you talking about like doing that field day of like showing the different events that are offered for Unified, because that's what I need. Because like I know Bologna's been doing it for 6 years and they've been doing it. I think Lake Hamilton said they kind of did what we did. We got started and everything, but to make people aware of what we do, because I don't think some people understand like what it is. Like I was telling you when we were in Bryant, you know, we didn't have very many athletes. Well, when we left Bryant and got back, I was frustrated because I had 5 more athletes sign up when we got back because the people realized what we were doing. Everyone has the stigma of Special Olympics and they just think of, sorry to be this way, but they think of people in wheelchairs. They think of people with Downs. Yes, I know that's what you know it is, but they don't also forget about the people just with the intellectual disabilities and trying to include them and getting them involved.
Right.
So
I will say the majority of the grants last year went to doing a unified festival or unified field day, which is something that we did when we first started doing unified champion schools in schools, because it did break down that barrier. It was an easy way for schools to, without the stigma, without like, it gave them something fun to do, something not threatening, something just they got to come out and have fun. And it was inclusion for all. They got a free t-shirt out of the deal. We had snacks for them. And it was something fun. Bryant had a real high success rate. They did it several years in a row. And their partners club was one of the largest in the state, because they just continued to do it to promote what they were doing on campus. The field day, what they would do is they would have pop-up games. And I have a guide on how to do a unified field day or a unified festival. I think sports festival is what it's called. But what they do is what you would do is you would pick 3 or 4 sports. Bocce is always one because it's not threatening and it's strategic. You would do something a little more threatening, for lack of a better term, something a little more fun and high energy for the boys that you want to show off that our athletes do have some high athletic ability. You want to show that off. So do like flag football. You can do volleyball pretty easily, or kickball. Those can be kind of interchangeable. And you can do, I don't know, something else. That's kind of your call, whatever's popular at your school. You set those up, you pick your school colors, and you do 2 t-shirts. So for BB, that would be maroon and gray. Is that right?
Yes, not red. I got you.
Not red. You're welcome. I try. But I did
I
uniforms in
know.
the complete wrong color for him. You're welcome. Terrible. I'll give them to Valonia and you can just mark it out. My bad. Maroon and
Well,
gray.
Bologna deserves it.
Yeah. Ouch. So maroon and gray t-shirts that have Unified Sports Festival or whatever on it. And then what you do is as they walk in, you give one shirt out to one person and a shirt out to the next person. And that kind of predetermines your teams. And so that kind of forces who's going to be on which color team. And then they go over to the sport that they want to play. And as they walk up, you just kind of do little mini pop-up games and just let them play for 3 or 5 minutes. And it allows them to play unified without there being any barriers. You specifically have to make sure that there's athletes over there that they're playing with. So you have to keep that in mind, or somebody does. But other than that, like, you are just kind of forcing them to understand, like, they're playing unified. It forces them to have friendships out there. Like, it kind of, it makes them interact with our athletes. You can add extra stuff. So some of the field days will add like a face painting area or whatever the students want to come up with, but it gives them that sense of, this is fun. There's no pressure. There's nothing on the line. And they're seeing that our athletes are capable of playing these sports. You've got some pretty high athletes that have some really great abilities that you could showcase in a situation like that. So that is what a sports festival is meant to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
But you don't like highlight them. Like, you don't put a flashing light on them and say, these are our athletes. It just naturally happens.
Right. We're not going to. Yes. I mean, like, I understand what you're saying. So, like, it's unlike the competition where we have odd and even numbers to know. You just have a red shirt, you have a maroon shirt and a gray shirt. That's all you have.
Yeah.
And you don't really know who the athletes are or who the partners would be. You just have people competing against each other, trying to figure that out.
Well, and they will know. I mean, they're going to know who the special ed students are in the school.
Right.
absolutely, Adrian, this can be done during a summer program. So that, I mean, that is what a unified sports festival is for. And we've had a lot of success doing it. And I think if you took the idea back to your unified leadership team, they would expound on it, on what's going to work best for your school. Or they might turn and go a different direction and say, "Ooh, but I like this," and might surprise you with something even a little better. But
Right.
I do have a guide on how to implement one of these also.
Are you gonna drop that in an email later on?
Mhm.
That was my
Okay.
question. Is it on the website? And in this innovation grant application, it's on the Special Olympics Arkansas website?
It is not right now, but I will send it out to you guys. Actually, let me do this right now.
Is Lake Hamilton and Bologna still on the call?
Mhm.
I just wanted to wish them congratulations on the basketball tournament we played last week. I really enjoyed it and I wish them luck at the state tournament.
Lakeside, not Lake Hamilton.
Sorry, Lakeside.
Lakeside's not on the call.
Thank you. And I want to say that your team was amazing, cheering on everyone and like playing in between, in between games and stuff. Our kids loved it. They loved it. It was really great.
Well, I just didn't know if you guys have calmed down after that last second shot that you all made. Like that was just, it's just unbelievable. I'm telling you. Question about your basketball thing. You said it's on May the 10th.
Yes, Hoops Classic.
Is that during the day or is that in the evening?
It's in the evening. It starts at 6. So if you just
Okay.
want to come out and check it out, come on.
Well, that's what I was gonna.
gym.
Okay, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna try and just come and see what it was, what it's about, and stuff like that. So
It's a great time.
So I have a question, Miss Edwards. With this basketball thing, would that be it for? Could that be a project for her, or would that be something different?
For Rhonda,
Yes.
no, that cannot be a project for her. She does it every year.
Okay. Sorry,
But
Rhonda.
try helping her out. She's got it.
I was just trying. I just tried to, just try to get that for you real quick.
She don't need no help.
But could it be a project for BB?
It could be a project for BB.
There you go.
That would be new and innovative for BB. It is not new and innovative for you.
Yes. Oh no, did I leave?
No, you're here. You're still here.
Okay, there I am. Sorry.
Good. Okay, I sent the innovation grant in the chat box. So that link is there. You guys are more than welcome to start applying now. Okay. Ideas for the innovation grant are here. You can do a whole school engagement project. You can do a unified fitness project, Special Olympics young athlete. You can take it district wide, take your school district wide. These are not limitations for you. These are just ideas. I want you guys to come up with the ideas. Now, Anthony, I'm fixing to really blow your mind, okay?
Oh, Lord.
Extra credit.
I don't believe in extra credit.
Well, get ready. Every educator that goes through online or in-person training offered by Special Olympics Arkansas will receive an extra $25 to spend on their Special Olympics programming at their school. The timeline for this is any training that the educator has attended during the 2021-2022 school year, but proof must be provided to me via email. It can be through the learning portal, attending an online virtual training, or an in-person. Sorry. So sorry, guys. He's the worst. Okay, so that can be online on a virtual training. We have a whole virtual series training course that we've been doing for the last several months. An in-person coaches training, or through our learning portal at learn.specialolympics.org. And if you have not already created a profile on there, I highly recommend that you do that. Any questions about that?
So when you say,
Go
so like if I, yep. So, I mean, I've attended ones in the past, but I know I understand the school year system and everything like that. But like I have myself and Miss Betcher. Miss Betcher has attended, I think 3 or 4, but it's just a one-time credit. Is that what you're saying?
Nope.
So everyone that
$25
she's attended.
for everyone that she's attended this school year from 2021 to 2022 school year. I just need proof that she attended it.
Right. I wish I would have known this, before, because I saw some that I've already attended in the past that I didn't go to this year. That's all right. That's fine.
You attended some this year.
I know I attended some this year, but I would have attended more this year, even though they were repeats. If I would have known, I would have got extra credit because I already had my certifications from the great year of 2020, where we all got to sit around and look at each other just like this every single time.
Okay. I'm sorry, Anthony.
It's fine. It's all right.
So does everyone know what learn.specialolympics.org is? Yes.
No, but you're gonna no.
I'm going to tell you then.
I have an idea, but I want you to inform me.
I will go over it for you, Anthony. Hold, please. All right, this is our learning portal. Okay. And this is another way. It breaks it down into different categories down here. But if you log in or register first, you've got to register. I already have a login though. Hold please, maybe. Mine is going to look a little bit different than yours because I'm not an educator. So I have access to a little bit more than you guys. But through it, this is Special Olympics learning portal that they have different training courses that you can go through. Fitness for the sports coach. There's the safeguarding there. Heads up concussion can be done through this now. Unified PE. These are program staff courses, but it's all there. Young athlete course is on there. Protective behaviors can be done through this now. And you can go and search for anything that you want. So So all the Unified Champion Schools, there's Introduction to Unified Champion Schools for Educators. And it's all on here. So if that's something that you want to go through, you can click on that, and it has videos, it's interactive. It's very good training. It is really a good training. They're very thorough and they do a really good job.
Is this the place where we also go when I was talking to you about like moving up in the levels of coaching? Like if I want to go.
So some of that is also going to be through here. Whoa, that's in a different language. I don't know what that was. Yes, so here's the Unified Sports course.
Now, is that just a one-time thing that you have to do that, or is that every 3 years?
Every 3 years.
Okay.
Planning a training session, planning a session. It teaches coaches how to do this is not the full sports one. Hold on. Because there's a whole, I'm in the UCS one. There's a whole piece for sports. There's a whole track for sports. And I'm not in it because I'm in the UCS one.
That's fine. I'll just go explore it and
Yeah.
look, just like you said, use the search engine and go that way.
Yeah, that's what I would do. But it's all housed right here. It's really good. And $25 a pop.
Gotcha.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
All right. Any questions about that? Okay. Spread the word inclusion. We kind of briefed on it earlier. Again, this is our shirts for this year. These are the wristbands. And this is the banner that you will get. If you have not already ordered your stuff, please do so today. I really am trying to get this order done. I'm probably going to start shipping stuff out with Nat tomorrow. So if you're planning on ordering something, order it today. I know we're down to like small, medium, and large shirts. That's about it. I'm going to share with you guys. Is there anybody that does not have the order link? Y'all are good? Okay. That's what I was going to share.
Would you share the order link, please?
Yes,
This is
ma'am.
Adrienne. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. That is what I was asking. All right, let me get that to you.
Could you also share these different links after the meeting is over? Because I won't be able to get this after it's over.
Yes, ma'am. I
Thank
will.
you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. So Generation Unified. So Generation Unified is what Special Olympics North America really poured their time and energy into when COVID hit. Anybody know what that is? Has anyone heard of it besides Rhonda? She doesn't count because she was on my call last week or last month. Okay, well, I am going to walk you guys through Generation Unified. All right. Sorry, guys. Working from home. Okay, so this is Generation Unified, and this is where Adrian, I think it was you earlier that asked if we had any videos earlier.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, this is where you will find all videos right here. They have endless videos. Anything that you can want, they have a video for it, and it is never ending. They have friendship videos, they have inclusion videos, they have back to school videos, they have wellness videos, they have it broken down into sections here. They did a whole series on Unified Talks where they had athlete and partner leaders get together, and it is just them talking about different meaningful subjects. And there's a full series on it. They have videos on here of where they hired a video company, go around all the US and do really good in-depth stories and capture some really good meaningful inclusion videos from our unified schools. There are some really, really good videos. Like, there's so many good videos on here. I haven't even had time to watch them all. But I want you guys to know that they're here. Anything that you feel like you have a subject that you're trying to find a video, this is where you're gonna need to look. Again, school, leadership, sports. Here is all about me, how Unified Track brought Sam and Parker together. The U.S. ambassadors, we have U.S. ambassadors, and they do 2-year terms. We have 2 U.S. ambassadors from Arkansas that are serving their 2-year term right now. National Sibling Day. All of these moments are going to be the stories that they hired the video company to do in-depth stories on. So those are going to be the really good ones. Those are the profiles. Okay. Any questions about the videos and how to really find those and find what you're looking for? All right. What's new? That is going to keep you. So they also have a youth innovation grant. This is where you can kind of go to and find out what's going on the national level and keep up with what is new and what they are announcing constantly on the national level. They just did a latest Unified Talk. There's their social medias if you want to follow them. And these are their partners and everything. Any questions about that? All right. Now I'm going to take you to their unified classroom. And this resource right here is extremely cool.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Miss, somebody has their hand
I
up.
just saw that. Christine, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you for taking the question. My name is Christine and I'm at Pinnacle View Middle School. And we have y'all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, great. So we have a program at our school where once a week we have a program called SOAR, and students meet with us midday. And it's a time for us to connect and to teach them life skills and to give them time to make up on their work and different things like that. We've just recently started SOAR clubs where teachers become the sponsors to different kinds of clubs and those kinds of things. And so I was wondering, as I was kind of looking at the videos, I'm hoping to somehow incorporate an area for my special needs students to participate in those clubs, or to try to arrange something during SOAR for our special needs students, because currently there is nothing. And just to be inclusive and equitable, to try and incorporate that. So when I look through the videos, I am wondering how to put all of those things together for my students. And so I'm hoping that as I look through them, I can kind of see and just maybe peruse it. And it looks like it's a lot of videos, but I was just wondering what you thought about that. And so you don't have to address that now, but now we're talking about, what does inclusion look like when we are trying to implement programs and we're trying to get these kinds of things started. What does that look like? And so so anyway, I just wanted to ask about that, and thank you for taking my question.
Yeah, so your clubs, what did the other clubs look like? Can you give me some feedback on that?
Yes. So the clubs are, there's anywhere from chess club to Bible study club to Rubik's Cube club to Harry Potter to, and so currently my special needs students kind of don't really fit into those clubs. And I don't, and I, of course I could create a club for special needs students, but I want to include them in the clubs that already exist. And so I'm just, and I'm wondering how I can try to implement that somehow, as opposed to, because I know you told me you're not educated, but I'm sure you're very familiar with FAPE and how we have to include them into regular situations as they can participate. And I think, I hear what you're saying about, we'll have these special programs for the students. And of course, certain students need those things, that we have those special kind of Olympic days. And that's extremely important. But I'm also hoping, in addition to that, that we can somehow integrate them into programs that already exist somehow.
Right. Rhonda, I think, has some feedback.
Okay, so that is how the clubs are at our intermediate school. Every Friday morning, they have a set aside time for clubs. Every student in the school has to do a club. So when it first started, we would send our students out into the different clubs. And then we were like, well, why don't we just do our own club and that's kind of how our YAC is at the intermediate school, is we created that club, and we have our gen ed students, our sped students, and we do during that club time, we'll do posters for upcoming awareness events. We'll show videos on inclusion and what it looks like to help educate them and prepare them as they get older. They did a send-off video one year, so cute. I loved it. They do sports every now and then, just to they'll have fun days. Joy, that's in the call, she's the person over that now. But that's how we provided that meaningful inclusion for our students there, is we created that club. And they only allow a certain number in. We always have gen ed students just begging to get in. They're constantly, they're like, oh no, it's closed, but we wanted to do that. So sometimes we sneak them in anyway.
Would it be inappropriate for me to talk to my administration? For example, we started a club called Student Government, and now we have a student government, and they're voting and electing. Would it be inappropriate for me to ask them to reserve a position for someone with special needs? Would that be?
Not at all. I mean, that would be fantastic. That's what we have at our high school. So yeah, I mean, I would suggest a unified pair for that, a student with and without intellectual disabilities.
Right. And so then I could probably ask that of all the clubs to kind of reserve, I mean, I don't know what that looks like. I know what I want, what I'm hoping it would look like, without singling out that person or ostracizing them. But as we are creating like a special program with Special Olympics, which is an amazing, beautiful program, my hopes are that we can integrate the students into everything that we all do at our school instead of separating them from everyone else. So I'm just wondering what that looks like. So thank you.
Thank you for your question. That's fantastic. This might also be a resource for you as you move forward with that club. And Rhonda might be able to talk about that a little more. I do want to kind of share a little bit. This unified classroom, there are lessons that you guys can use for clubs, for if you guys have a time of your day that you have a set. I don't know how schools are. Each school is so different, but if there is a piece that you can use these core lesson themes, which this is what they are right now, they do modify them, add new ones, change them. And I'm going to show the video first. They have two different platforms. They have Google and they have Microsoft. There is a tutorial. I am going to show it for just a brief second.
So let's say you have to read an incredibly long email.
Sorry. And there we go. Let's see.
If you're interested in joining the Google Classroom, first highlight and copy the class code. Then click on the icon, which will bring you directly to your sign-in account. Select the account you would like to join with. If you join with a school account, please be aware you may need to notify your school IT department and have them grant access to the Special Olympics domain. You should have no problem with joining with a personal account. Once in, you will be brought to the main class page. Select the plus sign and the join class in the upper corner, and then paste the class code 6BZGIIX. Click join, and you will be granted access into the Google Classroom of Resources. The streaming page will include a brief description of the resources, as well as an attachment to help you better understand these resources. The streaming page will also include updates in the future. All theme packages are housed under classwork. Within the classwork section, you'll see all themes listed at the left of the page. You can select your theme and jump directly to that section, or you can scroll down. Each package is organized in the same format and includes the same components. In order to access our lessons, first click on your desired grade. So let's, for example, pick teamwork in upper elementary. There's a description of how these resources can be used. And as I scroll down, you'll notice all of the attachments. First, click on the Objectives and Standards document. This will open a new tab and bring you to a document with all of the information and all of the lessons organized by objective and standard. This will help you find a lesson that is specific to a standard you're focusing on within your classroom. Let's say, for example, we want to focus on lesson 3. I can then go back to the main classroom and then select the teamwork lesson library. Another tab will open and all of the lesson library will be loaded. Every lesson is included with some more details. Click on the hyperlink of your desired lesson, 3, and you'll be brought to the master folder. Every master folder of every lesson, of every grade band, of every theme includes an information sheet, an instructional video, and a master copy of the lessons. When you open up the master copy, you will have view-only access. In order to save this document and make it your own so you can push it out to students, you will go to File, Make a Copy, Entire Presentation, rename it something that will be meaningful to your class, to you, or to what you're teaching. Then click Folder and click the back button to bring you out of the classroom folder and into your drive. Select My Drive and then any desired folder. I'm going to leave it in the main drive section. Click OK. While it's loading, I'm going to X out of the master. And you will now see that your own copy of that lesson has been created. This gives you the opportunity to actually engage with each slide and make any edits that you would like. Say, for example, you want to shorten the assignment. You could delete an entire question or a slide in itself. Once it looks the way you want it, you can then push it out to students using your learning management system. Remember to always go back to the Google Classroom in order to see answer keys and revisit that classroom library so you can see the information guides and any other relevant information. At the bottom of the classwork section, there is an educator support section that again reminds you of what the resources include, how to open, save, and edit these resources, and then provide any feedback.
People
Okay, so that gets you through on how to access the unified classroom. You can edit all of them to make them yours, but they really have poured a lot of time and energy into all of the lessons. They've worked really hard on is this compatible with Schoolology? I don't know what that is. I'm not familiar with Schoolology. Does anybody else know what Schoolology is? That can kind of help me out with that question because I don't know. I'm sorry, Christine. But all of the lessons they really did during the COVID time. They wanted to do something that the schools could implement into the classroom when we were not able to get you guys off campus and have events. Also, schools have really taken our current UCS programming, took the responsibility of staying and continuing the programming of Unified Champion Schools and really moving forward with that mindset. Okay, thank you, Chandra. Go ahead, Chandra.
Okay, a few years ago, I was at another middle school and we tried to do something. It's kind of like the Unified Champion School, but it was unified something and there was a cost associated with it, and basically either middle school or high school or college level. And this is what this reminds me of. I did this with my students there, and like I think it was Miss Rhonda was saying, we had so many kids on the general ed side that want to be a member of. We had the biggest club. But for the school I'm at now, over 50% of our students receive some type of IDEA special education service. So is Special Olympics and all of this related just for the students with the lower incidence or intellectual disability, or is it anybody that receives special education services? Because the way our school is, our students are functioning or on a grade level math or reading or both 2 through 3 levels below. So in that case, we are all the way unified all the way around.
So this is for your question is, do our athletes
Have to be intellectually developmentally delayed. And if they have an SLE, a specific learning disability, doesn't that mean that there's an intellectual delay?
that is how I would interpret it. Yes,
Okay, but it doesn't have to be of the severest kind.
correct.
Okay, so my school pretty much is unified in that case
Yes,
because so many students already have it, but I like the idea because I teach self-contained CBI, the CBI class with Adrian Jordan, who's on here also. So we wanted to do something that would push them towards a leadership position, but because they are so intellectually and physically delayed, that they would not be, most of them would not be a leader able to assume a leadership position. But we have a couple. And then we have some siblings in the general population that would be so great at representing the leadership side for the non-disabled peers. But they're 8th grade and they'll be going to high school. So can we recommend them? Can we push them for your summer programs, leadership programs, or recommend them?
absolutely.
Okay.
I would love to have them recommended, and also hopefully we'll continue this Unified Champion School programs into the high school, and the students will ask for the programming to be continued into the high school.
Okay.
Is what my hope is.
Okay.
That they'll see the desire and the need for it and want it to continue. And Christine, I see your behavioral issues as a hindrance, it seems. What about those students? A couple things. One is I have heard, again, I'm not in the classroom or in the school anymore, but I have heard that when you have students that tend to have some behavioral issues and you put them in a leadership role and have them working with people with disabilities, they tend to rise to the occasion. And some of those behavioral issues kind of fall away. If you are talking about your partners, if you are talking about your athletes that have behavioral issues and you put them with peers without an intellectual disability, and they continue to have behavioral issues, and their peers tend to step in and encourage them to not have those behavioral issues, and their behavioral issues tend to get better. They might not go away 100%. But in either case, they tend to improve on both accounts. And Rhonda, you can step in. Anthony, you can step in. Those of you that have had the unified experiences in the schools can step in.
I just wanted to say I love this. Let me start off by saying that, but some of the behavior issues are systemic to their disability.
Right.
And I just I don't want to consider only the students who don't have those behavior issues, but who also have disabilities, but also those students who have those behavioral issues because of their disability. And so I just want to, because I have many students with that, and I know that there are people on here who also teach CBI, and it is just part of their systemic disability. So thank you.
Uh-huh. I can tell you that I spoke with a I think she was a special ed director at one of the schools. It's a smaller school, but down in the Hot Springs area. And she told me that she was walking through the high school portion and one of her students was having a meltdown that day. And they are a unified school district. And she said that one of the partners walked over and encouraged that student. And she said, typically that student would take a while to come out of their meltdown. And she said it was really cool to see the partners step in and encourage that student. And they came out of their meltdown quicker than they typically would because it was a peer that was encouraging and saying, we don't act like that at school. We're not going to do that. So come on, we're in high school. We need to stand up. Let's walk through the hall. Come on, you can do this. And she said to watch that peer-to-peer interaction, she said, yes, we're going to have meltdowns. Yes, that's part of their disability. But to watch that peer-to-peer interaction, to watch that student without the intellectual disability, not just stand there and judge, but to step in and encourage and help that student that was in the middle of a meltdown, was encouraging. And then to watch that student that was in the middle of a meltdown to like get a grip, to stand up and walk and hand in hand after down the hall, that was just very encouraging. And she said being a unified school has helped the climate of our entire school because this would have never happened before. So go ahead, Rhonda. I think I cut you off. Sorry.
So yeah, no, that would definitely help. That peer relationship does help. Bologna, we really strive to include all of our students, medically fragile, all of our students. I'm trying to be politically correct here. So one of the things we do, and some people may not like it, but one of the things we do is if we have a student that has pretty severe behavioral issues, we still allow them, we still invite them, but we do ask a parent to come to events to assist. That way, one, it gets the parent involved. Two, it shows that we want the student there. We want all of our athletes there. But sometimes we need help. And sometimes we know if you have 20 other kids with you, you may not be able to completely devote your attention to one athlete. So when we are doing events, like we have several that we ask parents to attend, to be a, you know, a one-on-one with their child. And we have actually had some that have grown so much, you know, just being asked to come, and that expectation set of this is the behavior that we will accept, and this is the behavior that we will not accept. They have grown through that process, and now they don't need mom there. So it's setting, and it's not going to work for all of your students, but it's setting that expectation. And I'm telling you what, I would take a group of my Special Olympics athletes anywhere over a group of general education athletes. Honestly, like their behavior is so much better. So I think you set that expectation. If a parent truly wants their child involved, that's going to be an expectation of the parent. And then hopefully with the peer process, it works its way out to where we don't have to have that support there anymore. That's what we do.
To follow up with that, with what Rhonda said, I know when I was in Lone Oak, and I did this years ago, Jennifer will remember when I started there. As a matter of fact, Rhonda, Judy Noel was there when we started together. And I started trying to do unified, where I was getting, you know, severe behaviors, just basically it was behaviors, but it was also intellectual. And then I was just getting their peers to come and play. And I did a little more risky. I was all by myself, but I made sure of what was going on and at that time. But just getting peer involved, the peers to be involved with them is amazing, because some of the kids like look at us, as we've all experienced as educators, kids look at us and like, you have no idea what I'm going through. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're too old, knowing that we've lived all this before, but we're too old. We don't know anything. But when they have their peers come up to them that have been through it and can talk them around it, it just helps relieve you and some of the pressures that you have. And just as Jennifer was stating earlier, you let your youth take over, and you're just out like, okay, I'll handle the paperwork, I'll handle driving a school bus, I'll do, you know, I'll handle booking the hotels. You get everything else together, and I'll take care of all the adult stuff, as we would say it, and let them coach each other, let them be there for each other. It is not an overnight process, as I know Rhonda knows, but it does take time. As I've been trying to tell myself with Jennifer, slowly go into the water. Don't jump in head first. Unfortunately, I'm not living by that advice right now. I'm diving into the shallow end, and it's just because my youth is pushing me and wants to do more, and you want to be there for them. So the biggest thing is communicating with your administration, letting them know what's going on, what you're trying to do, to, in a way, let them know, but also let them know to be, you know, hey, just, you know, not turn the other cheek, but not jump in so quickly, because these kids are trying to work with each other. And hopefully you'll notice that a lot of behaviors will start to decrease over time, and you won't have those problems, because I've got a lot of kids that come to me that have behaviors, and they're like, you understand. I'm like, all I do is just sit and listen. And so like, that's just what it is. So that's just a little bit of advice from what I've done in the past, what I hope to do in the future. And I know that Rhonda is doing it successfully there in Bologna.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. We kind of went over the Generation Unified stuff. I only have like 8 more slides left, but let's take a break. Let's take a bathroom break, and we're going to come back and do the inclusion tile game. if y'all are okay with that. And we're really gonna wrap up probably by 12:30, if not before. Y'all cool with that? So if y'all come back at noon, and then we'll finish out strong. All right, guys. Everybody back? Yes, yes. There's Anthony. All right. This is going to require you guys to communicate with me, okay? This is called the inclusion tile game. This is something that we use with our youth leaders. This is something we use in trainings. This is something you guys can use in your clubs. This is something you guys could use in some of your professional development trainings, just as something to kind of get the conversation going about inclusion. This is the online version. We also can provide the tangible version of this. But again, this is our inclusion tiles. Can everybody see my screen? Yes. The website. I think it's Sharon. Anthony, nod. Can you see it? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Adrian. Okay. So there's 9 different tiles. I'm going to try to there's a way.
Hello.
See if I can get this is all right. So these are the different tiles: acceptance, avoidance, exclusion, fear of difference, inclusion, lasting friendship, meaningful inclusion, situational friendship, and tolerance. So these, we want to start going 1 to 9 on where it starts and where we want it to end. So 1 being what's the most exclusive, and 9 being what is the most inclusive ending of our story. Okay. And I will say that this looks a little different for me depending on which situation I'm thinking of. So we can talk this out. So some of you might need to unmute during this. Where do you think number 1 might be? What is the least inclusive thing for you?
Avoidance,
Is avoidance?
you think? Anybody think different?
I also think avoidance.
Avoidance.
Mhm.
I think that's a good place to start. Okay. And then what would be next?
Fear of difference.
Okay.
Tolerance.
Inclusion.
Let's see.
Oh, yeah, exclusion.
So we're thinking you avoid. And then once you get past avoiding, then you kind of start to fear the difference. And then you're excluding them because of the difference. Then you get to tolerating. And then we're going to get to acceptance.
I would say accepting, because after you do, you have to accept before you can start doing the like inclusion and doing all the friendship and everything else.
Okay. So then we got acceptance and then maybe inclusion.
Yes.
Okay. So then what do these 3 look like?
I think next would be meaningful inclusion.
Yeah.
Yes. And then lasting friendship, I think, or what's
Yeah.
is it
I would think
situational?
situational friendship would be before meaningful inclusion, because it's like, okay, you're my friend in this class. Or that's
Okay.
how our kids would see it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's only in one class, not a lasting friendship. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Okay.
I can't see the small writing down there, so I'm just gonna agree.
Better.
You're fine. I'm looking through a phone right now, so. you're
Oh,
good.
okay. So situational friendship is shared environment, taking part in activities together, opportunity for new friendship.
Yes.
Then meaningful inclusion is a sense of belonging defined by unique experiences, valuing individuals' identity.
Hmm.
Do we like what we got?
I'm good
Avoidance,
with it.
fear of difference, exclusion, then we tolerate, accept, include, and then we have situational friendship, meaningful inclusion, and then lasting friendship.
Yes, I'm good with that.
I like it.
Will you be sending that to us, ma'am?
The inclusion tiles?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Uh-huh. We're gonna submit our answers. We are Inclusion Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Great job, guys. We're the
Great.
goats. Great job. Well. Oops. Okay. So that was our inclusion tile game. Y'all did a great job. Thanks for interacting with me. All right, and we already kind of went over the different themes that you can find on the unified classroom. And again, these do not stay the same forever. They do constantly change them. But again, these are free for you guys to utilize anytime, and you can make them unique for you. We have the videos. We've already gone over our learning portal. And then here is our reporting tool. For those of you that are a unified school, there is a reporting tool that I would like for you guys to be using if you are not already using it. It is on our website. If you have a story or something going on, this is where you can talk to me about it. Also, every year, I need this information at least once a year on your school. I have to report on it myself. But this has to be done on each of your schools. So if you go to in your area, go to specialolympicsarkansas.org, go to in your area, no, I'm so sorry. specialolympicsarkansas.org, then go to get involved. And then go to Unified Champion Schools. Click here for Unified Reporting Tool, Schools Reporting Tool. And that's where you'll find that link. Okay. Whenever my computer pops it up. So that is how you find that. Any questions about the reporting tool? If you want to become a unified school, we have a expectation sheet that our schools fill out for us. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. I'm trying to pull it up. Okay, so uniforms, if your school needs uniforms or anything like that, this is the form that needs to be filled out so that Natalie and I can get uniforms ordered for you. I have this in a PDF and I can get this sent over to you, but you need to let me know that you need uniforms if you do. Any questions about that?
I
Bring-
have a question. I'm
ma'am.
sorry. Is
No.
this is for everybody that the team, regular ed and special needs students?
This is if you are going to be a unified champion school and participate in unified sports.
Oh, okay.
And then if you are doing anything with our logo or a unified logo or a unified champion schools logo, this is where this is the branding guidelines. And this is how it needs to be done. And just to cover your bases, if you are getting a shirt made with our logo on it, go ahead and send it to us for approval. We're pretty quick to get back with you and say yay or nay. Or you can just have the shirt company that you're getting shirts made at work directly with us. And this is our unified expectation sheet. If you do decide that this program is for you, this is the form that I ask schools to fill out every year to say, yes, I want to be a unified champion school again. We have two different levels. We have a gold and a silver level. Gold level, participate in a minimum of 3 sports, have a youth leadership and advocacy piece, host a whole school engagement piece, and then I ask that an administrator signs the bottom. It's very important to me that administration knows that you guys are signing on to be a unified champion school. This is kind of our guide to know what's going on campus. Also, it kind of helps me know what support you might need from me. And then this is the silver level. We just ask what one unified or inclusive sport piece, and then youth leadership piece, and then the whole school engagement piece. If this is something that your school is interested in, I usually sit down with you. We have a liaison on campus, some sort of educator on campus that is my point of contact. Each school has a point of contact on campus that I meet with. I also encourage you guys to have a leadership team, so it's not all on the shoulders of one person. Rhonda does a really good job at that. Rhonda actually is my point of contact for every school at Bologna. So bless her heart, she is my point of contact from all buildings. How many schools are there, Rhonda? Four. There's 4 Bologna schools. She's the liaison for all 4, but she is able to do that because she has a leadership team that surrounds her to make that happen. But it helps because she knows what's going on at all of those schools. But she is my go-to for Bologna. So that keeps a streamline of communication, but she has a support team there on her campus. But that is the way that school district does it. There's 100 other ways that other school districts do it. So that works for their team. And if you want to be a unified champion school and you're not one currently, I would love to set up a meeting with you. I will put my contact in the chat so that you can get with me. All right, that is my email, and that is my cell phone number. Does anyone have any questions for me? Like,
So I just typed it in the chat, but
oh, does any middle schools have any interest in doing a middle school, junior high basketball competition? Anthony?
I know that we would, this is Chandra at
Mhm.
Little Rock, and Cloverdale Middle School would probably love to do it. We're going to go through the process and meet with you and sign up to
Awesome.
become a unified school. And I think we're going to try to start off organizing everything over the summer, during summer school, so we can have a major kickoff in the fall. And I know our kids love basketball. So
Awesome.
it just makes sense to start fresh at the beginning of the year, right? Instead of, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you're talking about, you're asking for interest at a middle school level for the fall, correct?
Rhonda doesn't care. Rhonda is like, whenever we'll be ready.
Oh, I know Rhonda is. Rhonda wants probably one next week, so it's fine.
now.
Exactly. I knew you would. I mean, for looking towards the future and everything like that, I mean, I could see one definitely for, I could probably do one like next year and doing everything. I just found out just the other day, for some reason, I was accidentally left off the Area 6 thing, and I missed their basketball thing on Friday, so I didn't realize that. But, getting everything back in order one day at a time. Walking into the pool, not jumping in.
You're doing great. I do want to show you guys this one video real quick. You got to bear with me
And
though.
while you're pulling that up, I'm just wondering, maybe a script or some in an email template that I could present it to my principal to say, hey, this sounds great, kind of thing, just wondering if anybody has something like that.
We have packets for administration that we can provide for you as well. Yes.
Okay, that sounds good, because I'm gonna have to kind of ease it into my administration kind of thing, and say, hey, this would be an awesome opportunity.
Tell me what school you're with again.
Pinnacle View Middle School.
All right. Okay. I will get that to you. If you will drop y'all's contact in, well, actually, I think I probably have it from when you signed up for the call. And Chandra and Adrian, y'all are both Cloverdale, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then Stacy, you're from Sheridan. I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay. Maybe.
Developing a game. This game will teach students math. That's pretty amazing all by itself. But as Claire Cricht shows us, he's also making sure a group that's often overlooked get to play.
Hands on the keyboard, eyes glued to the screen. Freshman Bryant Pennington works on his project for East Initiative at Lakeside High School in Hot Springs. But this class uses a different algorithm than most, putting the mouse in the hands of the student.
When they walk in for the first time, I ask them, what do you want to do? What do you want to pursue? How do you want your education to be?
Teacher John Stokes says he lets his students pick their own project they work on throughout the year. It has to be centered around technology, critical thinking, and problem solving. Pennington added another layer to the assignment.
He's like, I think I want to build an inclusive game centered around math.
So let's look, what's 8 times 4?
To build a game that can be played by everyone, including those with special needs.
245.
Very good.
Pennington teamed up with the special education department and paired with Christian Wilson and his teacher, Katie Bowles.
She sent me some of the math worksheets they were working on.
Pennington focused on the bones of the program.
Here is the game. This has a lot of code.
From the text boxes to the colors.
This changes the color of the box when you click on it. This checks your answer and makes the box appear that tells you whether you're correct or incorrect.
Then Wilson and Bowles are in charge of testing it out and making sure it's fun and easy to use.
So 8 times 4
It's 32.
is 32.
Just to see a student that struggles and, almost dreads that class period to come up, to see them enjoy it now because they have something that makes it fun. I mean, you can't ask for something better.
That's exactly what's happening for Wilson.
What number goes at the bottom?
2.
The 2. Good.
Learning more and more each time he logs on.
I'm proud of myself that I can do math.
And as Wilson and Pennington continue to work together to build this game for all students, no matter the level,
They've developed a friendship over this.
they're also building a connection that extends beyond the screen.
Good try.
The game is still a work in progress, but Pennington says when he's done, he hopes to have different types of math and different difficulties.
Okay.
I had
So when I saw that, and guys, I rarely watch the news, I'm really terrible. But when I saw that, I happened to see them at the Polar Plunge that weekend. And I said, why did you not send that to me? And they said, well, it had nothing to do with Special Olympics. And I said, yes, it did. It had everything to do with you guys being a unified champion school. So can y'all tell me why it had to do with them being a unified champion school?
Because of the inclusion or the inclusiveness of the special education students.
Accurate. Because they're in a unified champion school, it is changing the climate of their school. The students are bringing inclusion even to the projects that they're doing in the classroom. And how cool is that? I mean, the East project that he's doing, he said, I not only want to do the baseline of what you're asking, I also want to add another level, and I want it to be inclusive. I want to help students with an intellectual disability that really struggle with math. So those are the kind of stories that I also want to hear about from you guys, preferably. Not on the news that I never watch. But I thought it was really, really incredible that was a way that the Unified Champion Schools is changing the climate of that school. And I know there are stories all over the state of Arkansas that this is happening, that maybe the news isn't picking up, that we need to celebrate and we need to highlight. So I thought we'd end on a high note. I appreciate you guys spending the morning, a little bit of the afternoon with me. I enjoyed talking with you guys. I know I did a lot more talking than I anticipated, but thank you for taking some time out of your day off, your holiday. Does anyone have any final thoughts or anything they want to add?
Yes, Jennifer, I wanted to know, do we get any type of certificate for being a part of this conference?
Yes, ma'am. I can send you one.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Christine, you're not off. Oh, Rhonda, sorry, you're not off.
I'm not all either.
Oh,
That's why we need the certificate.
Yes, ma'am. I will make you one and I will get it sent to you.
Definitely, I
Thank
need
you.
one too.
Yes, yes, I will get it to you guys. But I appreciate it, and I will work on that right when we get off this. Thank you, and oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you spending your drive back from Dallas with us. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will get those certificates to you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a good rest of your school year.
You guys too.
Mhm.
Talk to you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye.
Thank you, Adrienne. Thank you, guys. Be careful in these COVID streets.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.